Okay, cool. So we'll get started. So today we've had a pretty big sell-off here on the futures market, which means that we will probably have a sell-off on today's market as well. Now the thing with this is that we have to try and work out if it hits this double bottom, will we have a rejection on that level, or will it continue coming down? Will it break this level? Now we've already had one pretty big rejection of that floor. So the idea would be is if it comes back down to this level, we'll probably get some sort of rejection there again. So we're probably going to get something at that particular point. And there's where that ceiling is from. It's hit its head there once, come down, retested, come down again. Now, again, we don't know whether this is the full pullback, whether this is everything we're going to get, or is it going to continue down. But looking at what we have here, it's the probability of it hitting this level is pretty high. Okay, I probably expected to come down to this level here and then have some sort of rejection, but we have more momentum to the downside than we have the upside at the moment. Now, I was hoping from about the 22nd to about the 29th is where we have earnings season come up. So I was hoping that earnings season, we'd have a little bit of bullish momentum up in earnings season, hopefully get back up to around here. And then if that happens, I would be then closing my positions that would be anything between 10, 20 or 30% up, or 10, 20 or 30% down. I'd be closing those positions. But again, we are where we are at the moment. So let's we're just going to see what's after happening and how it continues. So anyone who took this trade here wouldn't have been a trade I would have said to people to take, but I know some people took this. But again, the risk to reward on this particular trade wasn't there. But I know some people did take that, and I know some people took it as a live entry off the trend line here. Anyone who took that, well done. You had a pretty big movement to the upside, but well done. Anyone who took that, I'm hoping that you got out. The idea would be now is, because we're in this little bit of uncertainty, looking for 3-to-1 winners is probably not the best rule of thumb at the minute. I'd be looking to trail stop losses. I'd potentially be moving it under 4-hour swings, stuff like that there at the moment, till we get a little bit of momentum to the upside. So what we're having here is we will have a pullback and a will drop. The question is how far? Okay, so the market sentiment here, the consensus here is telling us that we're going to have more downside. It's just a matter of where and when, okay, and how far it's going to drop. If we look at the S&P here, now this is a trade that I popped up into the Discord chat room. And if anyone wants to jump into the Discord chat room, let me know and I will see if I can get you in. But that's that there. Bounce, hit its head once, hit its head twice, hit its head 3 times, and now come up with 4 times. So that trade right there. So the entry was below it here, and the stop loss was above that bar. And it was risked 1.8 to 1. And the low that I went down to, bring this down a fraction more. So I went down, there's the low that I went down to is 2.1. So at the moment, at the very, very bottom here, you had 2 to 1. But where we are right this second is there, which is 1.7. Now, if you took that trade live, are you holding on to that trade and letting it run to this level? Or are you looking to jump out of it now? We'll zoom out and have a quick look. Or even if you didn't take this trade, if this trade was your trade and you took this short, are you looking for it to come down to this floor here? So bounce once, twice, and for a third touch? Or are you jumping out of the trade now at a 2 to 1 win? What would your general consensus be on this? Would you let this run or would you jump out of it? Answers on a postcard, please. because at the end of the day, I understand this is paper trading and you have no emotion, and then you can say what you would expect, but by putting it out there, you can then understand whether that was the best thing to do or whether it wasn't. Okay, didn't take it, but I would move my stop loss as a trailing stop manually. So most people have said a hold, let it run. Mark said he would jump out. Okay, fair enough. I understand that. You have money banked. I would stay in much longer. The other Mark has said he would stay in much longer. Okay, cool. Well, for me, I do think it'll come down and hit that 3-to-1. That's the idea. Is you have to have a vision for the trade and where you expect it to go. What's the market sentiments? And I would expect it to come back down and hit that 3-to-1. But again, we are getting very close to this double bottom here. So this double bottom here, we're getting very close. So I can understand anyone who wants to jump out of this trade. I can understand exactly. But the idea is that you have an idea before the trade is placed and where you want to get out of this, whether it's a trailing stop, whether it's a 3-to-1, whether it's a 2-to-1, whether it's a 1-to-1, or what a lot of people would have done is took profit when it hit this trend line, because as we can see here, this trend line is a pretty decent level that it seems to be bouncing off, bounce, 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 bounce. Okay, so I can understand anyone who's out of that. You were looking for your take profit in off that trend line, which was well done. And anyone who didn't take this trade, look, it's not the end of the world either. You may have not seen it. Whereas anyone who did, this is a left shoulder, this is a head, and this is a right shoulder. So we took it off the right shoulder to the downside. So this is a head and shoulders pattern. This is the neckline along here, and we're looking for it to break the neckline. Again, where do we expect it to drop to? Well, there's a couple of levels. There's this one here, which is the most recent, which is the previous high. It's come back and rejected it here. Or then we have one that's a little bit lower. So I'd expect it to come down to here, and then we'll see what's happening. We'll see what sort of price action bar is here. If we have a big selling, a bearish day price action there, we would expect then the momentum to continue coming down. Okay, but at the moment, anyone who took that trade, well done. It looks to be on its way down to a 3-to-1, but let's see how it runs. Time will tell. Is there any trades at the moment? Nope, absolutely not. Stay away from it. We're in no man's land. Look at the way this is running. The next trade we have is down here on this floor. That's the next trade. If we have it here and we have a nice price action, we could potentially take it long, or if it breaks and retest, we would take it short. They're the two levels we have. They're the two things that we should be looking at the moment, not anything else. Not anything else at the moment. Just leave it alone, let it settle, let it do what it's doing. If we look at the Dow, so we have the Dow and it is coming down nicely, and the Dow is back into this level. So bounce once, twice, 3 times, and this is the 4th touch. So we have this one touching. So the other two markets are not touching. They're not touching this. We had a bar come down here and we've had it rejected. So we've now hit this floor. So do you guys think before the end of the day, we will see a big wick on this? Or do we potentially see it finishing or making or dropping down past this level? So do we expect to see some sort of rejection on this? Or do we expect it to continue going down? What's your thinking on this? So bounce, bounce, bounce. Okay, now we're going to have a rejection, or do you expect this to continue coming down at this particular point? Bounce or down? What are we expecting to happen here? Okay, so someone has said continue down. Someone is looking more short term, said I see a rejection, but overall down. Okay, and that probably there's probably a good probability of that happening. Okay, so we may see a small bounce off this, and then the overall days continue going down. That probably happen, and that's what happens here. If you look at the wick, so if we drop down to the 4 hour here, drop down to the 4 hour. And we can see here, look, pop down, bounced up. See this one here, come down, and then bounced up, and then continue coming down. So we may very well see some sort of rejection to the upside, and then continue going down. May even work like this. Come back to a little trend line there. We even come back into this area here. If it pops its head up here, then there's a nice little short to the downside. You'd expect it to break that. But they'll have a couple little options. Now, would I be looking to trade that in there? No, I wouldn't be looking to trade it, but there is a probability of that popping back up and then continuing. Okay, the general consensus in the market is down. So the idea is that we leave it, let it run, and then see what happens. I'm not advocating sort of trading here at the moment. Sort of stay away from it. Let the market sort itself out before we start trading it again. Sometimes the best trades you've ever done is sitting on your hands and doing nothing. Okay, that's some of the best trades you've ever done, is just sitting in your hands, doing nothing. Let the trades run. Let them do what they're supposed to be doing. The German DAX, we talked about this potential trade here. Again, it was a huge bar. We talked about it. If you were going to take this, your take profit would have to be inside this one here. But as it happened, you were triggered in, and you would have been triggered out there very quickly on this particular one if you'd have taken it. So we can see that not all the trades we talk about here are winners. So we still have this original trade here running. Now, when we're looking at what's going on here with the overall momentum, the German DAX has gone pretty flat. It will probably take months for that to go back up here and hit. The only question is now, are we going to be stopped out before it goes up and hits here, or is it going to go and hit there? Okay, so that's the problem with taking the likes of this trade, that it's a huge stop loss, which means then it has to have a huge run for it to hit the 3-to-1. We are in a little bit of a correction going on at the moment. So we had that double topped. I know some of you guys took that short from the Discord group, but at the minute there is no trades at the minute. Leave it alone. Now we have a double top here. It hit its head there again. So if we're looking to short this, if it breaks and hits its head from underneath, there is a potential short on this. But it depends on what your bias is on this. So if it breaks and retests from underneath, there is a potential short there. So the UK100 has been trending quite nicely. Anyone who took that, you had a really nice winner. And it's continued going. We had our take profit inside this previous level here, because I didn't want to be greedy on this particular trade, because we have the overall momentum going up, but across all sort of markets, it is very, what would you call it, very uncertain at the moment. And the UK100 seems to be the one that has the certainty. Now, we've had a pretty big sell-off today, and there's no coincidence we have this sort of level here, and this level is historical. So look, we're back here, 1, 2, and then 3 touches. So 2017 is that last touch on this. But remember, we are overextended on this. It's the highest in 2 years. Yep, it's the highest since 2020, yes. So we do have a little bit of room to run. And the highest it's ever been was in 2018. So we're getting close there. We're getting close. So it's actually pretty decent it's pretty decent at the minute. So it's running quite nicely. So if we're looking to trade a market at the minute, it would be the UK100, and instead of the likes of the S&P, the Dow, stuff like that there. So don't be afraid to pivot. This is something that we're potentially looking to jump in is the likes of this. But again, we need a pullback. We need it to come back. Now, ideally, I'd like it to come back to this purple line. For me to take that serious, I'd want to come back to there. So this trade's been a winner. Anyone that took that. So we risked on this particular. So in this particular trade, we risked 0.8 and it went up to 2.1. So we just had 2 3/4 to 1. So if you risked 100 quid, you would have made about 270 from your 100 risk. So well done on that one. We kept it open. It would have went and hit the full 3 to 1. But again, let it pull back. If it comes back to there, look, see the double top? Come back, retest, and bounce there. So it'll be 1, 2, 3 touches, comes back to there, and that will be something that I'll be looking to jump in on. Okay, the CAC, again, we had a big, huge level here. Now, depending on the spread, whether you would have been triggered in on this or not. So there's a bar, tiny bar there on the entry. You may not have been triggered in. And again, this one here, I'm not sure whether it's hit your stop loss or not, but it's very, very close if you were triggered in, depending on what broker you use. So we'd expect that to come back into this area here. And if it comes back to there, there is a potential trade on this. And the French has been trending quite nicely as well. We can see the cycles, we can see the cyclicity. It didn't bounce off this level here, but if it comes back to this one, we have both a horizontal and the trend line. So that'll be the next area. So this one down here. So that'll be the next area we'll be looking to actually see this as a long. But if it plays out, then we'll potentially look to take that. So China has actually done exactly what we expected. So it's now come up, it's broken its floor, it's gone up, and it's hit its head right here. Now we have a little rejection on the wick, so which means now there's a little bit, so the buyers were here pushing it up, it's hit its head, and now the sellers are starting to push it down. So we actually have a potential trade on the smaller time frame here. So if we drop down to the 4 hour, we have the likes of this. So there's that horizontal. So look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bounces. It's come up now and it's retested here. So there is a short position on this. So would you guys take this as a short position? Entry there, stop loss. We have to go above that wick there because that's the high. So stop loss there, entry below that there. You could have your take profit there at this low. So in this particular scenario, you're risking 1%. Your take profit would be 1.4. So if you risk 100 quid, there'd be 140 pounds profit on it. Or we can zoom out and we can look for it to run down to this floor. Now, would that be a bit optimistic? And again, with this floor, we want it a little bit above. We want a little bit above. We don't want it actually on the very floor, because what happens sometimes is it stops before it and then changes. So is this a trade? Yes or no? And then are we looking to take profit here, which is trade A? Or are we having our take profit down here, which is trade B? So A or B. So if you're taking it, where would your take profit be, A or B on this, if you're taking it? So yes or no, and A or B. And then we can see what the general consensus across the market here. Because remember, not everyone is going to have the same outlook on something. And that's the beauty of trading, is that not everyone is going to have the same outlook. Everyone is not going to have the same risk to reward. Okay, so far the hands down winner is A. And then looks like about 80% of people will take this trade. And then of the people who traded, about 95% of people will say A. Okay. So that looks like the trade that we will. So that's the type of trade here that we have going on. So there is a trade there in the market. We are looking at the overall momentum down. Now, what you could say to me, Henry, is that there's the trend line there. This horizontal may not work. It may not. You could say to me here that if we use the highs here, that should go up a little bit higher. It should go up to there and then drop. And there is nothing wrong with that analysis either. So it's hit its head once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and it may pop its head up here and then drop again. So that's the problem with some sort of analysis like this, that when we're in a sideways market, generally there's a couple of different reasons or a couple of different answers that we can use. And we can take it off this horizontal, which looks pretty good. And to me, the horizontal is much stronger than a trend line here, because not everyone will see this trend line. But unless people are blind, they should actually be able to see this horizontal level here. They should be able to see this horizontal level. Pops back here and then drops. That's the idea of this particular one. But is it the best trade in the world? No, it's not. Obviously, it's not. We're not in. We don't have a massive great trend. Is this a high probability trade? No, but there is a trade there, and there is a valid one. Now, what I might do in this particular one, if I was taking this trade, I may take this trade, and once it gets down to around here, I may par close the position, move my stop loss inside break even, and then let it run. And I'll probably let the other half run and see where it goes. Either it stops me out at break even, and then I've taken 0.5% out of it, or it runs the whole way down to here, and I've taken another 1.5 to 2% out of it. So that would be the other scenario with this particular one. Now, something I also put up on the group was oil. Okay, so I had this trade on oil. So I had the trade here. So it hit its head once, come back down, hit its head twice, come back down, and then we have a little doji bar. So just to draw that bar out for you guys. So just to draw that bar out, what we have at that particular point is, so that's the bar we have at that particular point, okay? So right there, so that's the bar that we have. You guys may not be able to see it. And what we're looking to do is we were looking for this trade to stop loss there and entry right here. So what we're looking at for to go down to about $77. That's what we were looking for, 77.40. Now, we've had one touch here. We've had 2 touches. And then this is our third one here. Now, what's the probability of that dropping? Okay, is it high, medium, or low? What's the probability of that dropping? Okay, high, low, someone else said high, 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 medium, high, high, medium. Well done, Jonathan. Okay, so anyone who has voted there, even the people who haven't voted, okay, remember the saying, trade with the trend is your friend till the bend at the end. So trade with the trend is your friend till the bend at the end. So now, after listening to that statement, I now want you to revise this and ask me, is this a high, medium, or low? Well, Matthew, the overall, remember in September, it was at 0.40 a barrel. So it was at minus $40, well, sorry, minus $40 a barrel. So since then, this has gone up now to $85 a barrel, minus $40 a barrel. So from there, it's been an upward trend. So Matthew. So the overall momentum here is an uptrend, isn't it? So what it means then is every level that this has come to, as it was going up, it is smashed through, hasn't it? We have had rejections in these certain levels, yes. But the probability of it dropping here is medium to low. It's not high, it's medium to low. Why? Because we have the overall momentum. The momentum is going up. So there is a chance here of this dropping, but again, it's medium to low. So if I clear all the drawings here, and I go back here to this, and I give you a little zoom out. So that's the trend there. So that's at a double top there, or a triple top, okay? But if we looked at the S&P here also was at a triple top. So why were we confident that the S&P would drop here? And if I asked you whether this is a low, medium, or high, we would probably have said this is a medium to high trade. So what's the difference in the two of them? And this is where we want to differentiate between the trades that we're picking. Okay, this is where we differentiate. We are in with the S&P. We're in a market that is everyone is talking about a market crash. We're in a pretty sideways market at the moment. The sentiment is unsure. We have news coming out all the time. Okay. Index versus commodities, that really makes no difference. It's coming down to looking at the chart patterns. Okay, so that's what we have here. We have this chart pattern which is sideways. The momentum is not up. It's not fluid. We have hit its ceiling, and there's a high probability of this dropping again, and that's exactly what happens. Whereas if we have a look at oil, we have an overall momentum going up. We have a super bullish market. Obviously, OPEC are manipulating the price, yes, 100%. But OPEC can manipulate the price all they want, but the only way it drives up is by us with demand, by us wanting it, by us trading it. Okay, so that's why it's going up. So, and that's what's going on here. We have an overall momentum going up. So, was there a high probability of this bouncing? It would have been low to medium. Would it be low to medium? But there is still a chance of it dropping, but it was low to medium. There's a higher probability of this happening. There's a higher probability of this happening. Of that happening. So Jonathan, I hope that answers that question. So Jonathan said, so with oil, would you look to ignore the ceiling and go long, or do you want to be careful at the top? We still need a phase two. We still need our phase two. But if we're looking at the momentum, we would expect it to carry it through this level. And then what we would look for is pullbacks into this area. And we're going to pull back into that area. That would be the exact zone where new buyers would be looking to jump into the market. And then if we're looking to buy there, what we then have to look at is where is our ceilings? Where are the points where we need to be aware of historically? Because remember, trading is all about historics. What's after happening historically before? So look, bounce once, bounce twice. Okay, so we have a historical level there. If I get another horizontal, I can see there. One bounce, two, three, and a potential one there, fourth. So if we're looking at this, $91 seems to be the next target. So $91 seems to be the next target here. Up. So that means if we get a break and retest here, I'm looking for it to go somewhere around the $91. And then we'll see what happens in around that area. So Henry, if the S&P 500 breaks a neckline, it will break. So if the S&P breaks that neckline, you would expect it to go lower. Yes, I would. But the problem is I don't know how much lower. So we'll go back to the S&P here. So if it breaks this line, yes, I would expect it to go lower. And if it breaks this neckline, it could be any of these levels. Could be any of them. This one is probably the lowest level it will go to, but it could go to any of these. It depends on how much momentum is pushing the market down. Okay, so it could be either of these sections. Could be any of them, but that's the lowest probability. But these are all higher. So this is the highest one, then second highest, third, and then fourth. But it could very easily hit here. Back to oil, and then back to oil. We're looking for this to break and then retest. Now, when we're looking at the likes of oil, and we can see OPEC is driving the price up, it's manipulating the price. Also, the likes of every Joe Soap like you and I are buying oil, and all it takes is just someone to come out and mention fuel crisis, and all of a sudden we'll be all running out at the petrol stations again, like it was 3 or 4 months ago. Again, so that's something we don't want happening. But again, what we're having is we are having people talking about the prices of natural gas going up. So we have natural gas here. It's been in this sideways momentum. We had a big jump to the upside, and then it corrected itself, and then it's back down here more or less at this entry point again. So this could be the very beginning of this upward momentum. Remember, if oil continues, what's that you said about fuel crisis? But again, it takes one politician or one, all it takes is one person in the news to come out and say, yes, or the fuel crisis, we can't get money we can't get fuel to the petrol pump, and all of a sudden, with market, that made me laugh. A fuel crisis? Oh no! Quickly run down to the petrol station and fill the car up and bring a couple of jerry cans. But again, I've got an electric car. Well, the likes of natural gas is going up as well, so the cost of running that is also going up, but nowhere near as much. Nowhere near as much. Okay, so, and that's the idea. So we potentially could see a run on this, but we're talking about momentum and sentiment rather than technical analysis on this. So there's no technicals here to say that we could trade this, but if you're looking for this as a breakout to the upside, natural gas is getting a little more scarce, or the cost of natural gas is going up. So there is potential for that as well. So I was asked to have a look at MTD. I'm assuming it is this one, Jan. So let's have a look. Well, the trend is really good. So the trend is really good. And we have a little bit of a horizontal there. Let's zoom back here and have a look at that. So we have a little bit of a double bottom here, and a slight little retest here. So break and retest, and this is a double bottom. Now there's a trade here at the moment. So entry there, and a stop loss there. So that's the potential trade at the moment. Risking 6.5% and 9% take profit. Now, with today's bar, or with this small bar, we could potentially edit that trade up. Now, you could have your entry here, and you could look at this as a way of saying that if the market pops up a little bit and then drops, at least you're not in the market. Okay, so that could be a safety net by putting your entry there, and if it breaks there, then run. Or we could put our entry there and have this as an aggressive trade. So entry above that green bar, stop loss here, and we're risking, say, 4%. And look, that's 3-to-1 by the time it hits that high. So there's a couple of different ways of trading the likes of this. Now, with the market sentiment and what's going on, would this be something that you guys would be interested in putting a trade on? It looks pretty decent, doesn't it? There's a pretty decent trade there. Okay, so is it something that I would trade? I don't know. I need to have an actual proper look into it. But again, it's interesting here. The problem at the moment is that the overall sentiment is down. That's what's stopping me taking trades like this at the moment. As a general rule, if the overall index is down, I generally don't take trades like this. So which means then it breaks my rule to take this trade. Something that is similar as well is Accenture. Accenture is very similar. There's Accenture, look, bounce, 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 bounce. There's a potential trade there. Now I see the pre-market is down a little bit, but again, there's also a trade there as a long position, entry there, stop loss below. So there is a trade there. Take profit just inside there. And again, a 3-to-1 would be somewhere around there. But there's a reason I haven't taken these. Why? Because the market sentiment is down. So yes, the trades look good. The structure is good. But for me, it is better off the money in my back pocket till the market turns and we have a little bit of momentum to the upside on these. Till the market starts becoming bullish, that's when we can jump in on the likes of these. So for me, I'm not looking to trade both of these for that exact reason. I need sort of the market sentiment to change a little bit before I'm looking to jump in on them. So ATVI, I'm assuming it's this one, Nigel. It's rumored to be bought out by Microsoft. Yep, there we are. It's up 37% in the pre-market. What's the consensus on this? Keep your money in your back pocket. If you bought it yesterday, you're absolutely laughing. If this is the first thing you've heard about it, keep your money in your back pocket. So look where we are. The ship has well and truly sailed. Now you could look at this and go, well, if I jump in here $89 and it continues going, yeah, but if my aunt had balls, she'd also be my uncle. Okay, so if you've missed this boat, stay away from it. I was looking at Aviva and UK100 is a trending up. So would that make sense? Yes, that would make sense. So Aviva. So again, if you're looking at stuff that is trending, make sure the index is trending. So where we sort of should be looking at the moment is the UK100 stocks. Find out what stocks on the UK100 are trending nicely, what ones are running nicely, and that's where we potentially should be trading. Or even the French. The French is running quite well as well. They're the two that are doing quite well, but the UK100 at the minute is running. So remember, we want a pullback. We want to pull back on these. So if we're jumping in, get a horizontal, potentially around there. So ideally, I'd like that to go up a little bit further, and then pull back down to there. And that would be a potential trade there. And that may coincide with the UK100 pulling back. You'd be surprised how often the index pulling or the index coming back and then the UK100 as well coming back. Okay. just reading it. Is this your first time to the webinar? I'm like, no, I do this webinar every week. And it's like, oh, okay. So you're pushing the Discord. So what I want to do is want to come over here and have a quick look at Platinum, Palladium. I want to have a quick look at also the crypto. Platinum, stay away from it. Literally, stay away from it. It's in no man's land. Don't even look at it. Don't even look at it. Stay away from it. Palladium. Palladium, again, I know I've been asked about this one. I'd be in two minds in this one. I would stay away from it because I have two different analysis here. It's hit the floor, went up, hit the ceiling, went down, hit the floor, went up, it's hit the floor again. But then I have this trend line, hit the ceiling, went down, hit the ceiling, went down, hit the ceiling, went down, hit the ceiling, went down. So we're in this little bit of no man's land. This could be a low and a higher low and then kick to the upside, or this could be a high, a low, lower high, and then break to the downside. So with platinum as well, for me, stay away from both of them. It's not good enough. It's not good enough for us. There's not enough of we're in that little bit of no man's land. What's going on here? Okay, so we had this sort of little downward trend here at the moment. We've had a little break and then retest, but again, it's pretty flat. So it's not massively jumping out at me at the moment. I would want it to break a little bit lower and then pull back to that level, and then we'll look to short it. But again, if it pulls back to here, might be a nice little short on this, but the overall momentum is down on wheat as well. So BTC. Did anyone buy the dip? So again, we're back at this level. It had a little pop to the upside and we're now coming back down. 30K level for BTC. Well, again, I wouldn't write it off. Absolutely, under no circumstances would I write it off. I don't see any reason why I couldn't, but then I also don't see any reasons why I can't hit the 68K. And it could hit both of those as quick as 10 days, if that makes sense. It could hit this 30K in 3 days, and all of a sudden then pop to the back up to this level again. So it all comes down to momentum at the moment. But we could end up seeing a consolidation around here for a little while till the actual cryptocurrency momentum kicks back up again. So sit tight. We have bought some here, okay, at this present moment. And let's see if it comes back down to here. If it comes back down to here, as you saw before, I have another order here, and I have another order down here as well. So potentially we'll just buy some more at either of those levels. ADA has had a nice little run. Did anyone buy it at that level we talked about there? The 1.066. Well done. 1.066, well done. Good trade, well done. Now, the question is, if we look at this, bounce, gone down, bounce, gone down, bounce, gone down, bounce, went up, bounce, gone down, bounced, gone up, bounce, gone down, and now it's here. So my question is this now heading or here? Is that now heading for here again? Depends on BTC. No, it doesn't. Not really. Not really. I'd expect that to come back down into those levels. I'd expect that to come down there. So the question you have to ask yourself is, if you expect that to come back down into that level, so the one, down to that bottom, the one, do we then exit and short the market there? Or do we exit, take a profit, and let the market drop? Not likely. The trend is upward still, my friends. There's no upward trend here. So just to give you an understanding of what an upward and downward trend is. Okay, there's a low, there's a high, that's a low, but it's higher than this one, so it's a higher low. This is a high, higher high, so it's going up, and this is a low, and that's a higher low. So that is an upward trend. There's a downward trend. There's a low, or there's a high, there's a low, there's a high, but it's lower than this one. So it's a lower high. This is a low, and it's lower, so this is a lower low. There's a high, it's lower than this one, so it's a lower high, and that's a downward trend. So what we have here at the moment is going up, going down, and then going up. So we have a low, we have a high, we have a lower low, and we have a higher high. So what we have going on here is we have that little going up, and we have this going down. So we have no trend on this at the moment. So we have no trend at the moment on this. So there's a trend down and there's a trend up. But what's the overall trend? The overall trend is going down. So there's a higher probability of this popping down to here than continuing going up. So again, I don't have a crystal ball, but we predicted this one here dropping down. We also predicted this one going up. So we're due to get it wrong at any point soon. But again, the probability, remember, as traders, we're looking for probability. And the probability is that coming back down. And that's what we're looking at probability. And the probability here is more momentum to the downside. Did I pull that from there or somewhere, did I? Can't remember. Okay. Yeah, you could take a short on this as a double top, absolutely. but you need a broker that allows you to trade CFDs. Entry there, stop loss above it, looking for it to drop, but you have to use a broker that allows you to trade CFDs. Anyone want me to run through any other crypto at the moment? Anything in particular for the last 5 minutes? Well, 4 minutes now. NAT, Matic is it? Sorry, Matic. So Matic has went up, hit its head, and it's dropped down. Looking at this, would probably expect it to come back down to the trend line here. So it seems to be bouncing off this trend line quite well. So we'd expect it to sort of come back down here. But it is something that we will have to have a look at. Ethereum. Again, we have cyclicity down. It's making lower lows. It's trending down. Would expect it to come back down and hit this level here. We expect it to come down and hit that level and then potentially bounce. But that's not very straight there. Atom. We have hit sort of a record high there. I'm assuming that's a record high. Horizontal. Fiddlesticks. We have a soft level there. Yep. The problem with the likes of doing tech analysis on the likes of this is it's driven by demand at the minute. And it basically comes down to whether there's enough demand at the minute, whether it'll break that level or not. So it's one of the ones that are flying. And it literally comes down to whether people are jumping in on this bandwagon or whether that's hit the ceiling and come back down. So would expect that to come down a little bit. But once it gets down into any sort of these areas, I'd expect it to sort of take off again, literally because of demand. Well, look, everyone, it's been an absolute pleasure. Anyone who is not in on the Discord group or wants to jump in on it, let me know. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much. Hope you had a lovely evening, and I will speak to you all next Tuesday. And anyone who is in the boot camp, I will see you tonight. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye-bye.